Welcome back. You're watching Mad About Markets, and today we're talking about India's insatiable love for SUVs and whether this love is here to stay or is it going to be feeble. To talk more about that, let's bring in the yays and the mays as always. And Mangalam, why don't you go ahead?
The yays, and let's bring it in. There we have it. The yays and mays car comes in, and the yay door opens first because the first big yay that we have for SUVs now are they're both affordable and attractive as against the ones of the yore which were very boxy and extremely expensive.
I take your point, but Mangalam, what is the first thing a buyer asks when buying a car?
Kitna deti hai?
And that is quite low for SUVs, isn't it?
That is, I mean, as far as mileage is concerned, it is low, but the GST differential has led to an increased demand for sub 4-meter compact SUVs, which are better mileage giving than, the bigger ones, gas guzzlers.
Perhaps, but you have to take into account the fact that the share of petrol-only models is increasing, and that means consumers have to shell out more money for these SUVs because of the rising fuel costs.
They do have to shell out more money, but for, the experience that an SUV provides specifically on Indian roads. Globally, they're known for off-roads, but Indian roads are as good as off-roads for these cars, and these conditions are, perfect for an SUV.
But not all roads in India will be ideal for it because a lot of times you deal with narrow roads and these big SUVs may not be the most ideal car.
And that's why you make it compact, but that's on the road. The important part is inside a car. Indians travel with big families and a lot of luggage. Maximum space in an SUV is what we like as against, other cars which may not have as much space.
Well, maximum space and maximum comfort, but these slightly bigger SUVs you need for that kind of comfort also attract a higher GST and then again a higher cost.
There's no takeaway from that, higher taxes for slightly bigger cars. But if you're looking at a smaller car, there is a fair amount of price overlap. I mean, for the same price of a smaller hatchback or a slightly medium-sized sedan, you can get an SUV. And for all the good reasons, people may choose SUVs, and they have been choosing SUVs.
Well, but SUVs are not really exempt from what the entire industry is facing, and that is the semiconductor shortage, the rising fuel prices. All of that is impacting the SUV market as well, and it doesn't help that the world is moving towards EVs, but SUVs, which are the most popular segment by far, don't have enough options yet.
That's correct. So we need to find out whether, there are enough EV options or not, and whether they are coming and the range anxiety issues that EVs have.
Well, that is just one of the many challenges, Mangalam, but let me put that question to Shashank because, besides the obvious ones that we've outlined so far, what do you think are the key hindrances for the growth of the SUV segment?
For the SUV segment, of course, we have to see because SUVs, one obviously is the fuel efficiency. The SUVs don't give that sort of fuel efficiency which you find in hatches. That seems to have been overcome a little bit with the product offerings like the Grand Vitara, with the strong hybrid, the intelligent electric hybrid that we have launched, which gives excellent fuel efficiency. But I think going forward in the mid SUV segment, which has a large percentage of diesel at the moment, that would also be a hindrance because going forward with the RD norms coming in next year, I think diesel will be a little tough to sell, and those manufacturers who have a large percentage of their sale in diesel might have that issue. So I think there are multiple challenges facing the SUV industry going forward. But at the moment, it seems to be on a roll. The last couple of years, in fact, has been really galloping, just around 26% of the market to now almost 42%. So I think challenges will come, and although SUV is in a good spot at the moment, and I would expect that since the GST rates for the 4-meter SUVs are that 28%, that could be a challenge going forward, just in case, if you have GSTs, revised upward to the other categories of SUVs.
Take your point, Shashank, out there, but now the time for the bigger question. Is India's love for SUVs structural? Is it changing? Well, we do have Shashank and Tarun's takes on this. Shashank, first you go.
So it's a great question, I think, and we have also been debating this internally. I think when we look at other countries, Latin America, China, Brazil, the other European countries, we've seen SUVs gaining traction up to around that 50% mark, where they seem to level off. So rarely is there a country which has got a unipolar sort of segmentation. In other words, there will always be segments which are strong, and there will be segments which are niche. In case of India, I think it will be the hatches, which are still about 38-39% of the market, and the SUVs, which are the two large segments which we have seen in recent times. Hatches were always very large. So I think that would continue. You will see a bipolar sort of segmentation in the Indian market, with hatches being a large segment, and also because of the demography of our country and the nature of our economy. And the second part, which is the SUV part, which we expect to continue to grow from here, from about 40% that it is of the market today, to around that 50% mark in about 4 years' time. On the question of whether this trend is structural or temporary, I think there is a little bit of structure involved in this, because the preference for SUVs has also been fueled by the road conditions, where people want a larger ground clearance that SUVs offer, and a much more commanding road presence, and also a flexibility of usage of the space which SUVs allow. So I think a bit of it is design preference because of the nature of consumer thinking, and that trend is accelerating, as we have seen in the last few years. But I would say around that 48-50% mark, you could see in plateau and see the other segments also coming up.
Look, I would say that while the percentages are in favor of SUVs, but if you see the Indian market, the hatch or the sedan market is also substantial. So I don't think there is anything, okay, the market is finishing or such. In fact, if you see Hyundai, we launched the Verna and the Aura in the sedan space. We launched the i20 in the hatch space. So I think the market is here to stay. India, the car penetration is still in early 30s per thousand. So there's a lot of opportunity. And I believe for one that opportunities are everywhere. But yes, more launches you will see, and more focus you will definitely see in the SUV space, much like the global trends, where this is very clearly available, whether it is US or Europe.
All right, Tarun, Shashank, Gaurav and Bertrand, all four of you, thank you very much for your time here on Mad About Markets. With that, we've come to an end of the show. We'll wrap this up and see you same time next week.
Drive away.